So we've just wrapped up about 2 months traveling around Mexico. We loved it, to start off with that. And during that time we filmed, I think it's about 10 or 11 videos, which I'll link in a playlist in whichever corner it is here and in the description. If you haven't seen those yet, but I'm guessing most of you guys probably already have.
Yeah, so we got a lot of questions on those videos and on Instagram. A lot of DMs asking so many questions. Probably it's the one place that we've gone where we've got the most questions, which is why we wanted to sit down and do this video to share our experience. But we are by no means experts.
No, not at all.
We're not claiming to be. We just wanted to share our own personal experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like paying it forward. That part of me wishes that somebody would have sat down on done a video like this that we could watch before we went, because we were concerned about safety and how to travel and all of these other things that we kind of didn't know in advance. We're just kind of paying it forward and sharing that. So we should probably start with the most common question, and it's probably the most obvious one as well. Did you feel safe? Essentially, did you ever feel like you were going to get kidnapped by the cartel?
No, I did not feel like I was going to get kidnapped by the cartel. I just think that you need to have common sense no matter where you go. I think that in places like Playa del Carmen and Tulum and Cancun, it's so touristy. Whereas Mexico City, as long as you choose the right neighborhood,
good point.
Like we stayed in, where did we stay?
Roma Norte, yeah.
And you don't venture out to where the cartels are, the likelihood of you getting kidnapped by them is probably going to decrease.
I'd say so, yeah. I think sticking to the safe touristy zones is the way to go. And even in those places like Tulum, where we hired a scooter and we went away from the tourist zone, it was still very common for tourists to be there, and so it wasn't really that kind of place.
Yeah.
We wouldn't really go out too late at night time. I went out a couple of times to get stuff.
Yeah.
I did have one run-in with some, like, I don't know if they're necessarily homeless is the right word, but very rough around the edges kind of guys that were kind of half joking with me in English, and that was Mexico City. And I just made sure, like, phone in pockets, nothing obvious, don't draw any attention to yourself.
I will admit, the day that we arrived in Mexico City, it was actually evening, and Dane went out to go get us some food after we finished filming. And just to be safe, I actually asked him to drop a little pin on WhatsApp just so I could follow his location.
Track my location.
Just because you just don't know what's going to happen when you're brand new to an area. Literally, we woke up the next morning, went for a walk, and we were like, okay, we don't need to do that again.
How many times did you get ripped off or scammed?
We didn't. But we are... How would you explain us?
Well, to put it frank, we travel full time, so we're wise. I think most travelers are, but there's definitely people that maybe aren't quite as aware.
We sort of don't put
be.
Ourselves in those situations when we can kind of feel something. But there was only one time where I was in a taxi in Tulum, I think it was, and Dane was off organising our scooter, and we'd pre-arranged the price with the driver, and as soon as Dane got out of the taxi, he was on his phone on Google Translate, and he lifted the price by an extortionate amount.
He tried to,
but I was like, no, that's not the price that we agreed upon in my broken Spanish. So yeah, that was the only kind of moment.
I don't know if there was potential for more of it to happen. I'd say the only thing that is very obvious is that I don't think it's scammed and I don't think it's ripped off as such, but you get hit with tourist prices. Like, we can't control that. Nobody can really control that unless you can speak Spanish and say, hey, no, that's not what it should be. If you're in a sort of touristy area, you are going to get ripped off in that sense because you're paying a lot more money than what the actual local value is, but that's to be expected.
Did you end up finding a better beer than Corona?
I mean, we love Corona through and through, whether we're in New Zealand or anywhere in the world. We were drinking it in Albania.
Oh, yeah.
Pricey, but it was like a one-off reminder. But yes, Victoria is really nice, very different. And what was the other one? Do you remember?
Indio, which I think is a craft brand.
That was really nice as well. What modes of transport did you take? How was the infrastructure?
So we took taxis, Ubers, a golf cart, taxi, ferries. Did I say buses?
No, buses. Drove our own scooters. So kind of and transfers as well.
Yeah.
So kind of, and planes. So I think we did everything. I would say good is the answer.
For the most part.
Really good.
There was that one video that we filmed where we were saying that the buses were great, and
Oh,
apparently there was like a bug crawling behind it.
I didn't even see it in real life or when editing, but we're sitting there going, man, these buses are really nice and comfortable, and this little bug goes...
They were hit and miss though. Some were good, some were not so great, but on the whole, fine.
Everything ran on time. There's quite a lot of information online because we obviously don't know before we go to these places. We have to Google it as well to figure it out, to then do it, to share it. We never really had any troubles. It was like when we did the trip to Holbox, which is a little bit further kind of around the coast. It's further outside the tourist zone, so you do have to just book some of it that you can and just kind of wing the rest.
Yeah.
But everyone's kind of moving in the same direction, so it was, what I said at the time, it was organised chaos.
Yeah.
But it works. How many times did you get asked if you wanted drugs?
We got asked quite a few times when we were in Playa del Carmen on 5th Avenue. We'd just be walking down the street and guys would just go, hey macho man, you want to get high today? Dane said no, just to clear that up.
Actually nowhere else other than that one street in that one place did we have anything like that. Normally it was like tacos, cerveza.
And we were like, yes please.
Both.
See. Did you get sick from the street food?
I'd say we probably embrace street food most in Mexico, even probably more than Asia, maybe in line with places like Chiang Mai anyway, in Thailand, and didn't get sick once. We ate a lot of street food, like real experimental sometimes as well, just not even knowing, just like pointing and hoping. Cheap, good, and I mean, it must be clean because we didn't get sick. There was a couple of questions coming through about what were the locals like or what were the people like.
The people, for the most part, were really friendly. In the touristy areas, you could tell, their English was really good, and they were...
asking us if we wanted drugs, like politely.
Yeah, the people, I'll say that the interactions that we had with people changed in the different areas that we travelled to.
Good point. I'd say, do you think there's like three? It's kind of the really touristy and they speak great English and it's kind of I wouldn't say pushy, but American accent and they kind of want tips. Yeah. Then there's the middle ground, which is kind of like, like nice establishments, but not sort of over the top, not all touristy.
Yeah.
And those are the places I think that we really like. We spoke to people, kind of met halfway with broken Spanish and broken English, and it was quite nice. And then there's like locals be the third one. They're just doing their life,
like
and
Mexico
they're just
City.
They're just used to seeing you, and just probably limited interactions with them, but certainly nothing like negative.
No.
Did you have any kind of language barrier? How would you survive if your Spanish level equals 0? Laughing face.
So our Spanish level, just to put it out there, is 0. Well, was 0.
0.5.
0.5. We wish we could have spoken more Spanish. And to be honest, I thought places like Playa del Carmen, they would have spoken a bit more English. But traveling there made me want to learn Spanish, and we made friends with our coffee shop down the road,
Ladies.
and they would kind of help us each time we went to learn a little bit more and do our coffee order in Spanish. So you can definitely get by, but if you can speak Spanish, you will find it so much easier to travel there.
Just a few phrases, knowing like what's heaven, what's takeaway.
Yeah, and just please,
what's
thank
the
you,
food
hi.
that you want? Yeah, please, thank you, hi, how are you? Kind of. It's nice. They're
easy to
nice
pick
to
up.
haves.
Yeah.
But otherwise, translations are so easy as well. If you could go back in time and change one thing, what would it be?
I would go back and skip Tulum.
Instagram people right now are going,
yeah, I know, but it just, I don't know, Tulum's just not for me. I didn't vibe with it.
No, too touristy.
And I would spend less time in Cancun and more time in places like Holbox or Mexico City that are not as overrun by Instagram spots.
Yeah, I suppose that flows into one of the other common questions, which was, is there anywhere that you missed that you'd like to go next time and heard really good things about? Oaxaca, is that you say? Oaxaca.
Yeah.
Apparently that is the best
Coffee.
food that you're going to get, and also, incredible coffee. Great things about Puerto Vallarta. And we kind of mostly did, we didn't really do the West Coast at all.
No, we need to spend more time. I have to say, Mexico is probably one of the few spots that we really want to go back to and explore more of.
You're kind of answering another question. Would you go back? No, it's perfect. It's perfect. So I think we've been to almost 50 about 50 countries, and I'd say, I think maybe 5 or 10 of those would be like, yeah, we'll go back again.
Yeah.
And Mexico was very easily in that list for me.
Yeah, 100%. I loved it there. I love the food.
Yeah.
I like that there's such a variety. You can have the beach, and then you've got the cities, and then it's just, yeah, I don't know.
I don't think we've ever been somewhere where one block walking can change so much. And maybe Playa del Carmen is probably the biggest example there. But one block away, and then 2 blocks, like it just changes completely, and that's really nice to have access to. Bit of a random one, but was it clean? Did places feel maintained? Was it well looked after? Was kind of a mixture of questions in there.
I would say yes. In the touristy places, obviously, you know, places like Cancun, the beaches are really well maintained. In Tulum, they do have that seaweed issue, but that can't be helped. That's not necessarily, that's not about being clean. I was really surprised in Mexico City to see shopkeepers taking amazing care of their property and
their like
shop fronts.
Shop front area. Even at nighttime, just out there sweeping and stuff.
Yeah, and not just in the touristy areas either.
No, I would say there's a lot of pride in maintaining, like the locals maintaining their patch, their area. And I think it was quite nice to see. So I feel like that kind of wraps it up. I mean, we said that we're not experts. This is just our personal opinion. So I want to say we've had a few recommendations as well as questions on the videos. If you've got any places that we should visit, or anyone else that's kind of stumbled in here, found this video, made it this far into it, and they're like scrolling through comments, share that, because it would be really helpful, I think, for other people.
Yeah, and it will give us a good excuse to go back again.
100%.